Uh, Good afternoon to all our viewers. Welcome. And this is Dr. Aparna. I am your emotional healing synergist. That is, I am an Ayurvedic psychotherapist, a passionate infopreneur, edupreneur, and medical writer. So, as you all know, that every week I come with different set of discussions on different topics related to Ayurveda, mental health, psychotherapy. It is because of my pursuit of addressing Ayurveda psychotherapy globally. I want to promote and propagate Ayurveda and psychotherapy globally. So, in this pursuit, I come up with discussions. So, today's discussion is on Pratyahara of Yoga. So, what is Pratyahara of Yoga, and what are the practical, insights and benefits of Yoga Pratyaharas on, mental well-being and holistic well-being or holistic health. So let's get started. See, Pratyahara is one of the um, you know Pratyahara. The term Pratyahara is a Sanskrit word that originates from the ancient Indian philosophy of yoga. So it is composed of two words, that is prati, which means against or away, and ahara. The literal meaning of ahara is food, though here ahara means input. Whatever is, we are talking it in the sense of mind. So it is mental input. So, in the context of yoga, pratyahara is often translated as withdrawal of the senses or control of the senses. It is the fifth limb of the eightfold path of yoga. It is the fifth limb of Ashtanga yoga. I have talked about Ashtanga yoga in my yoga session on the International Yoga Day, the link to which I will provide in the descriptions below. You can watch it both on LinkedIn and YouTube. So here, and it was, this is in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. This was founded by Sage Patanjali in his Yoga Sutras. So Pratyahara is one of the fifth limb and one of the limbs in the eightfold path of yoga, that is Ashtanga yoga. So you may ask, Aparna, why are you talking about Pratyahara? So what we do is, as we have, modern as we use modern psychotherapy techniques, various techniques like CBT, NLP, and various other talk therapies. In the similar way, I also use Ayurveda Sattvavajaya Chikitsa, and these pratyaharas, we use pratyaharas for the mental well-being of the clients and to treat mental illnesses as well. So these techniques have been scientifically proven, evident, and beneficial in controlling certain mental health illnesses, or treating certain mental health conditions, and in the holistic health as well. So simply, in simplified words, pratyahara is the withdrawing of our senses from the negative environmental influences. That is, it may be negative food, negative impressions, and negative associations. So this covers what we nourish our bodies with. It may be food, for the gut, and what you nourish your brain with, and what we fuel our thoughts with, that is impressions, and who we spend our time with, associations. So before coming to the pratyahara, I'll give a brief of what is Ashtanga yoga, the eightfold path of yoga. So it provides a comprehensive guide for spiritual and personal development. This is not only for spiritual development, it is also for personal development and mental well-being as well. So each limb represents a stage or step in the journey towards self-realization and enlightenment. The limbs are Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So there are 8 in total. So, Yama. So, what is Yama? Ethical principles and moral disciplines. This I have talked about in detail in my yoga session. You can refer the session for the detailed information. And Niyama are the personal observances and self discipline. And asana are physical postures or poses. See, and pranayama is breath control and regulation. Usually people think that yoga is only asana and pranayama. No, yoga is not. Yoga also comprises of asana and pranayama, but there is much more to yoga. And pratyahara is withdrawal of the senses. That is what I'm talking about. Dharana is concentration and focus. Dhyana is meditation. And samadhi is the state of oneness and blissful absorption. This is also called yogic consciousness or yogic state of bliss. So pratyahara, being the fifth limb, serves as a crucial bridge between the external practices of asana and pranayama and the internal practices of dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So, pratyahara can be achieved through both the asana and pranayama of the external practices, and the internal practices which are dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So it is essentially the process of turning one's attention inward and freeing oneself from the constant distractions and influences of the external world. So, Pratyahara is the fifth limb of Patanjali's eightfold path of yoga. It is described in Yoga Sutras. So, what is sense withdrawal or withdrawal of senses? If you ask me, it involves, see, Pratyahara involves consciously drawing the mind's focus away from the external stimuli, detaching from the senses, and redirecting one's attention inwards to the inner self. So, drawing the mind's focus away from the external sensory stimuli, detaching from the senses, and redirecting one's attention inwards towards the inner self. The best example is, you have seen the, monks. They're always, there is a pleasant smile always on their face, and they don't seem worried, or the external circumstances do not affect them. So that is because they all practice pratyahara in one way or the other. So what is pratyahara? See, the pratyahara is mentioned in Patanjali Yoga Sutras in the chapter 2 and verse 54. So what is the literal meaning? The transliteration is swa, swa vishaya samprayoge chitta swarupanu ka, chitta swarupanukara indriyana pratyahara. So swa vishaya samprayoge chitta swarupanukara indriyanam pratyahara. So the withdrawal of the senses from their external objects and their subsequent convergence into the mind itself is pratyahara. The convergent, turning inwards, which means that you just are cutting yourself from the external stimuli, and you are turning inwards, that is convergence into the mind, that is pratyahara. So pratyahara marks a crucial transition between the external aspects of yoga and the internal aspects of like dharana, dhyana, samadhi. External is asana and pranayama. It is a practice that helps individuals control the influence of external stimuli on their mind and maintain a state of mental equilibrium. So, for example, imagine yourself sitting in a quiet room trying to meditate, in a dark room maybe, where there is nobody. Suddenly, you hear a loud noise from outside, and your attention gets drawn to the loud noise. So instead of allowing your mind to wander and get disturbed by the external noise, you consciously decide to withdraw your senses from the auditory experience. You consciously pulling your senses away from the external stimuli and recentering your focus on the breath or the mantra you're chanting or an object of meditation. This is an example of pratyahara. So, if you're sitting in a quiet room trying to meditate and you hear a sound from an external environment, and all of a sudden, what we do is our attention, gets diverted into that sound. So, it is just not allowing, with practice, you're not allowing the sound to disturb the, you're not listening to the external circumstances or external stimuli, and you instead of allowing your mind to wander, you just withdraw your senses. And even if you're chanting a mantra when you're meditating, or you're concentrating on your breath, or only concentrating on your breath, or an object, um, you know like Arjuna concentrated on the eye of the bird. Like if you keep a concentration on an object, there are three ways to do this. Either you can concentrate on your breath, either you can chant the mantra and concentrate on the mantra, or either you can concentrate on an object. So this is an example of pratyahara. So similarly, pratyahara can be practiced with our senses such as sight, taste, smell, and touch. For instance, when you're eating a delicious meal, instead of being carried away by the flavors and indulging in the thoughts about the taste, you practice pratyahara by withdrawing the senses of the taste and directing your awareness towards the act of eating, the texture of the food, and the sensation it provides. So, pratyahara serves as a bridge between the external and internal practices of yoga, paving the way for deeper concentration and meditation. So, by mastering pratyahara, individuals can gradually gain better control over the mind and senses, leading them closer to the ultimate state of self realization and spiritual awakening. So, the finally, why yogis practice were practicing pratyahara is to attain samadhi, that is state of bliss for them. Now for us, we can consider that to attain peace, in our everyday lives, our senses like sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell are constantly bombarded with stimuli from the external environment. These sensory inputs have a powerful impact on our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, often leading to restlessness and imbalance. Pratyahara teaches us consciously withdraw the senses to their usual preoccupation with the external world and redirect our focus inward. So, by practicing pratyahara, one cultivates a heightened sense of self awareness and gains control over the mind. This internalization of the sense prepares the practitioner for the deeper state of concentrations and meditations. So, what it does is, when you have control over your mind, you don't give significance to the distractions around you. You know, so what happens is, ultimately you are freed from the anxiety and stress which comes from the external stimuli. So ultimately it leads to the state of samadhi. See, and here it's samadhi, we can take it in the practical senses as, a state of bliss or a state of peace, wherein, you don't have your to improve your holistic health in this scenario. So pratyahara is not about cutting off or suppressing the senses, but about developing a balanced and non-reactive relationship with them. It is just a non-reactive relationship. It is not cutting, you're not cutting out from the environment, but you're not letting it, you're not reacting to it. So it involves observing the sensory experiences without being attached or driven by them. This process allows the practitioner to break free from the external world's hold and discover a deeper connection with their true self. So, pratyahara is an essential step in the practice of yoga. So, it guides, practitioners towards self awareness and control over the mind, and ultimately spiritual growth and holistic wellness. So, through the withdrawal of the senses, one gains inner stillness, mental clarity, and a foundation for higher meditative states, ultimately leading to the self realization and a deeper understanding of the nature of existence. So examples of, examples to understand and practice pratyaharas, there is a famous example of a tortoise in the context of yoga, mentioned by Acharya Patanjali. So the tortoise is often used as a metaphor for pratyahara. How, when a tortoise senses danger or wants to retreat, it withdraws its limbs and head into its shell. You might have noticed or not. See, when the tortoise moves, all the limbs are spread outside. But when it senses danger, or when it wants to, it just, withdraws its limbs and head into the shell, shutting out from the external world. Similarly, during pratyahara, practitioners consciously withdraw their senses from the distractions of the outside world, turning inward to explore the inner landscape of their minds. So this is one example. And another is, as I said, candle flame concentration. See, you can do it in three ways. Either you concentrate on an object, either you concentrate on your breath, or either you concentrate on a mantra. So sit comfortably and place a lit candle at the eye level. You place a lit candle at the eye level and gaze the flame and concentrate solely on it, allowing all other thoughts and distractions to fade away. This goal is to withdraw the mind from the external sensory inputs and focus it entirely on the flame, cultivating a state of one pointedness. So why one pointedness? You can start by, doing it for 1 minute, practicing it for 1 minute, 2 minute, and it cannot be achieved in a day or two. It needs a constant and consistent practice. So you can start the candle flame concentration. In that time, what happens is all your thoughts and your mind and the senses are only concentrating on the candle flame. So and not concentrating on the distractions of the external environment. So this is also, a technique to practice pratyahara. The body scan meditation. So lie down or sit comfortably and close your eyes. Gradually bring your awareness to different parts of your body, starting from toes and moving upwards. Observe any sensations without judgment or attachment. By doing so, you're withdrawing your mind from external stimuli and directing it inward. This is body scan meditation, and gradually you can concentrate on your breath only. So, this is one kind. And nature immersion. Spend time in nature, such as a forest or a park. In this way, also, you can practice pratyahara. To start with, we all can do this. Engage your senses fully in the experience, but practice not letting your mind attach to any particular sensory input. Be present with the sounds, smells, and sights, but avoid getting lost in any of them. You hear all the sounds in the nature, but you don't get lost only in one sound or one creature or one animal. So nature immersion is also a technique. And now for the modern era, it is the digital detox. So in the modern world, we are bombarded with constant digital stimuli. So practice pratyahara by consciously taking breaks from electronic devices and social media. This withdrawal from the external stimuli can help and focus on your internal world. And this is called digital detox. This is very much important because we are constantly attached to our phones. And to take breaks from the phones and electronic devices and social media is very important. So to begin with, we can start by digital detoxing for an hour, or for half an hour, for an hour, and more. This withdrawal from external digital stimuli can help you focus on the internal world. Now we have digital wellness apps as well. You can install those apps who it gives the reminder, that you have to digitally detox. So the next sixth is eating mindfully. Sixth technique to practice pratyahara is eating mindfully. How you do is, during meals, practice eating mindfully by savoring each bite, being fully present with the taste, texture, and smell of the food. This practice helps in withdrawing the senses from distractions and fosters a deeper connection with the act of eating. While eating, also eating mindfully is also a technique which can be practiced to begin with initially. Like, we being fully present with the taste, texture, and smell of the food. For this, you have to first avoid watching television or being on the mobile when you eat. You only concentrate on your eating. That means the texture of the food, the taste of the food, the smell of the food, you're savoring the food. This practice helps in withdrawing the senses from distractions and fosters a deeper connection with the act of eating. So remember that pratyahara is a gradual process that requires consistent practice. By mastering pratyahara, a practitioner can prepare the mind for the subsequent stages of yoga, such as dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. That is concentration, meditation, and state of bliss or enlightenment. That is samadhi. So, methods of yoga pratyahara, as I said, these are the methods. So pratyahara is a subtle and profound aspect of yoga. There are various techniques and practices to cultivate this state of withdrawal and sensory control. So pratyahara during asana practice, while performing yoga poses as well, the asanas, concentrate on the physical sensations that happen in your body. Let go of any distractions, external distractions, and maintain a deep internal focus on your breath and the physical experience of the posture. While in not being in, don't think of anything else. When you practice an asana, while doing a surya namaskara or while doing different postures of yoga, you can just concentrate on the physical sensations and try concentrating on your breath, so that what happens is, you can let go of any external distractions and maintain a deep internal focus on your breath and the physical experience of the posture. So pranayama as well, and mantra. See, mantra meditation is also, A pratyahara technique, as I have mentioned earlier. So, repeating a mantra or a sacred word, it may be a Gayatri mantra or Vishnu Sahasranama or whatever mantras or sacred words you can chant, and that can help you withdraw the mind from the external distractions and directing it towards a single point focus. And nature walks as well. Nature walks can also help. Take a walk in the nature and use it as an opportunity to observe the beauty around you without getting attached to any particular sight or sound. So be present in the moment and immerse yourself in the sensory experience without any judgment. So pratyahara is not achieved overnight. It requires consistent practice and patience. See, gradually incorporating these techniques into your daily life will help you develop a stronger sense of inner awareness, self control, and a deeper connection to your inner self. As you advance in your thought, in your pratyahara practice, it will prepare for deeper stages of meditation and self realization. So, the significance of pratyahara in the practice of yoga cannot be overstated. So, pratyahara acts as a crucial bridge, as I said, in yoga. So what happens, see, significance of pratyahara is what happens when you start practicing pratyahara is sense control. Pratyahara involves consciously withdrawing the senses from the external stimuli. In our daily lives, you are often bombarded with sensory inputs which can lead to distraction, restlessness, and attachment. Pratyahara allows practitioners to gain mastery over their senses, preventing them from being overwhelmed by external influences and desires. And what happens is when you are away from external influences and desires, what you do is, obviously the second point is inner focus and awareness. By turning the attention inward, pratyahara helps practitioners develop a heightened sense of self awareness. It enables them to explore their inner landscape, understand their thoughts and emotions, and gain insight into the workings of the minds. So, and what it happens is ultimately preparation for meditation. By practicing this pratyahara techniques serves as a crucial prerequisite for the effective meditation. When the senses are not adequately controlled, it can be challenging to concentrate the mind for an extended period. By practicing pratyahara, the mind becomes more focused and steady, making meditation more accessible and productive. So, and then what happens is your mental chatter or the mental clutter is reduced. Reducing mental chatter. In the state of pratyahara, the mind becomes less agitated by the external distractions, leading to a reduction in mental chatter. This calmer mental state allows for a greater clarity, improved decision making, and a more profound sense of inner peace. So, next, what happens is freedom from external dependencies and external validation. Often, our happiness and well being are contingent on external circumstances and sensory pleasures and external validation. You are free from external dependencies. You ultimately become free from the external dependencies. This pratyahara helps break this dependency by allowing us to find contentment and fulfillment within ourselves, independent of external characters. So ultimately, what happens is stress reduction, stress and anxiety. As I already said, that unnecessary stress and anxiety are reduced as pratyahara reduces the mind's preoccupation with the external stimuli. It can alleviate stress and anxiety. So by focusing inward and detaching from the external pressures, practitioners can experience a sense of calm and tranquility. So mind body connection. Pratyahara deepens the connection between the mind and body. As the senses are withdrawn, practitioners can tune into the subtle sensations within their bodies, enhancing somatic awareness and promoting a sense of unity between the physical and mental aspects of being. So, next is spiritual growth. So, after all this, Pratyahara is a pivotal step on the path of spiritual growth and self discovery. It prepares the mind for more profound practices like meditation and self inquiry or introspection, so which can lead to profound insights and spiritual awakening. So, Pratyahara is a fundamental aspect of yoga that empowers practitioners to develop inner strength, self-awareness, and control over their minds. So, by withdrawal of the external distraction and turning inward, individuals can access deeper levels of consciousness and move closer to the ultimate goal of yoga. Yoga, what is the ultimate goal of yoga is self realization and union with the higher self or universal consciousness. So from the lower self to the higher self. So what are the benefits? This is the significance. So what happens as a result of yoga pratyahara is improved concentration. Pratyahara helps in training the mind to focus and concentrate better by reducing distraction. Stress reduction, by withdrawing the external stimuli, pratyahara induces relaxation and reduces stress and anxiety. So it induces relaxation and it reduces stress and anxiety, and it promotes enhanced self awareness. Pratyahara allows you to understand your thoughts and emotions better, leading to improved self awareness and self knowledge. And the sensory control, practicing pratyahara empowers you to gain control over your senses and avoid being overwhelmed by external stimuli. So preparing for meditation and emotional balance. So by withdrawing the sensory inputs, pratyahara helps in gaining emotional stability. Or what all this does is, the ultimate goal is the emotional balance or the emotional wellness, that is gaining emotional stability and reducing impulsive reactions. So you can reduce all your impulsive reactions. So, and what are where is yoga pratyahara applied? So what are the applications of yoga pratyahara? So stress management, as I already said, uh, you know pratyahara techniques can be applied to manage stress and anxiety, promoting a sense of calmness and tranquility and enhanced focus. Pratyahara can be used by students, professionals, or anyone seeking to improve their focus and attention span. So, addiction recovery. Pratyahara is employed in therapeutic settings to assist individuals in overcoming addictions by redirecting their attention from cravings and triggers. See, in addiction recovery, in a drug abuse or nicotine addiction or for any addiction as well, Pratyahara techniques are used in therapeutic settings. So mindfulness practices, so many mindfulness based practices incorporate elements of pratyahara to deepen the practitioner's mindfulness experience. And ultimately what happens is improved relationships. Pratyahara aids in cultivating better self awareness, empathy, and emotional regulation, which can enhance relationships with others over a period of time, of course. Spiritual growth, as an integral part of yoga, pratyahara is utilized to advance spiritual growth and self realization, leading to a deeper understanding of the self and the universe. So these are the several benefits, and it reduces mental fluctuations as well. And detachment and non-attachment, what happens is pratyahara supports the cultivation of detachment from the sensory experiences. By consciously withdrawing from external objects and not being driven solely by the senses, one develops a healthier relationship with the world. See, this detachment allows for greater emotional balance and reduces the tendency to be swayed by the external circumstances. There is a concept that yogis practice which is called detached attachment. So, what is detached attachment? You might ask me, what is detached attachment? So, detached attachment is you are attached to a person still being detached to them. That means, for example, when we will consider an example of a mother and child. See, when a child is young, a toddler, or a infant, a toddler, it needs, it is always with the mother, 24 by 7, 365 days, attached to a mother or a parent in general. And after a while, after 5 or 6 years, the needs, the priorities also gets reduces, eventually with a period of time. As the child grows into a teenager and an adult, the child, gets, it is the child's needs, priorities, and everything changes, and it is not as attached to the mother. So, instead of the mother being like, oh, my child has changed, it is no more attached to me, or cribbing like this, or blaming herself, what happens is, what can be practiced is the practical reality. Now the child is turned into a teenager, or it is more independent, and its needs, priorities, social circle, everything has changed. So according to it, a mother can be detached from a child and still be attached. So that is called detached attachment, which yogis do. It also can be done in the professional setup as well. See, for 20 years, for 15 to 20 years, a person, a managing director or a CEO, runs the company, and a time comes when he has to transfer it to either next meritorious deserving person, or it is usually transferred in the family itself, whatever it is. There is an attachment. So if you are detached, and if you are attached to being detached, it is easy to transfer and continue with your life's mission, and at the same time, being detached as well, you have an attachment to it. So not sticking to the seat or not sticking to the power, you can still be attached to the goal of what it does. So that is detached attachment. It is a huge, huge topic or subject in itself. So it is also, pratyahara also helps in detached attachment. So, these are the general applications of and sensory moderation. So, Pratyahara helps to develop moderation in sensory, experiences. Instead of being excessively indulgent or suppressing the senses, the practitioner learns to maintain a balanced relationship with the sensory inputs. This moderation and self-control extend beyond the practice of Pratyahara and can positively impact various aspects of life. So, it's important to note that the benefits and applications of Pratyahara are not limited to yoga mat. See, yoga doesn't mean on a yoga mat you are just practicing pranayama or asanas. So, yoga is much more to it. The practice of pratyahara of yoga can extend into daily life, supporting individuals maintaining a balanced perspective, cultivating inner calmness, and navigating external situations with clarity and equanimity. So, Pratyahara, it's also significant to note that Pratyahara is not an isolated practice, but rather a part of the complete system of yoga. When combined with the other limbs of yoga, other seven limbs, this is the fifth limb. There are eight limbs of yoga, of course. It becomes a powerful tool for personal development, inner peace, and spiritual evolution. So, consistent practice and patience are the key to experiencing the full range of benefits that Pratyahara has to offer. If you have to see the extensive benefits of Pratyahara, it is important to consistently practice it. Consistent efforts are necessary. So there are four types of pratyahara. I'll just brief it out what can be the pratyahara. Like it can be bahya pratyahara. Bahya pratyahara is the external pratyahara. It involves the controlling the senses by minimizing the exposure to external stimuli. Internal pratyahara, antar pratyahara, is the internal pratyahara, refers to the withdrawal of the senses from the external world by redirecting the attention inward. So these are all linked. And then the third type is matrika pratyahara. So matrika means letters or sounds. So matrika pratyahara involves the withdrawal of the senses from the external world by focusing on the subtle sounds or vibration present within oneself. You can also make use of mantras for this. Next is Hridayaksha Pratyahara. Hridyaksha means the space within the heart. So here Hridyaksha Pratyahara entails withdrawing the senses into the space within the heart. So this is the innermost core of our being. This requires constant practice. This is a deeper level of Pratyahara. So for this, it is important that we first inculcate pratyahara into our daily lives. And by mastering pratyahara, practitioners can progress further into the realms of dharana, concentration, dhyana, meditation, and eventually into the state of samadhi. So there are other four types of pratyahara as well. That is Indriya Pratyahara. Indriya Pratyahara is the controlling of the senses. Prana Pratyahara. Prana Pratyahara is the controlling of the prana. Prana here means breath. Karma Pratyahara. Karma Pratyahara is controlling of the action. And the fourth one is Mano Pratyahara. That is withdrawal of the mind, control of the mind here. So, control of the senses is called Indriya Pratyahara. Control of the prana is called Prana Pratyahara, that is your breath. Control of action is called Karma Pratyahara. Control of manas is called, that is mind, is called Mano Pratyahara. I'll explain all the types of Pratyahara in detail in the next session, which would require a lot of time. So, and this is all about pratyahara in brief. Start practicing the I would urge you to start practicing the pratyahara techniques which I have mentioned initially, and let me know of the benefits and what changes you found in your life, and what is the result of practicing pratyahara. And that's it for today's session. Thank you for staying tuned, and namaste.